Hi, and welcome to Basement Chronicles. This is the Sunday interview where I get to just chat with people who are doing interesting things in the world. My name is Lisa Dublin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wherever you're watching me from, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Oh my goodness, everybody's in the house. And even while you are enjoying your Sunday lunch, I hope you can take in this interview. My guest is just an amazing person doing lovely things in the world. And so, without any further ado, let me bring on my guest today, Brother Chidi. Hi,
Hello.
how you doing? Oh my
Well,
goodness. It's
thank you
nice
so
to
much
have
for
you
having me.
here. And so you guys, I'd like to introduce my guest, Chidi Iwuchuku, right? Did I get it right? Absolutely wonderful. So I first met this gentleman. We actually MC'd together. We were co-MCs back in January. A mutual friend was launching her book. And I was just like, we just gelled. We did the job well together. I think we sold books for Lillian, which was the whole point of the event, to launch this book that she has written on marriage. And then I discovered so much about you that website, we'll get into it. But without any further ado, Brother Chidi, I call him because Lillian calls him Brother Chidi. That's the contact she sent for me. So I just kept it. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Chidi, and I live in Edmonton, Alberta, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world to live. If you've not been to Edmonton, sorry, you need to come here and live.
Okay.
Originally, originally I'm from Nigeria, and I came in here in 2017 with my wife and my boys, and we've
Mhm.
made Edmonton a home. And I can tell you, it's been amazing. It's been such a great journey from the one. We fell in love with Edmonton, and right off the bat,
Mhm.
we knew that we had to make Edmonton great by our presence. And so we jumped into volunteering and getting involved in the community. Less than a month when we came in, we were volunteering at the food bank, the Edmonton's food bank. And I can tell you that is one of my favorite places in the whole of Canada. The
Yeah.
whole concept of the food bank is a different topic for another day. I'm a best-selling author. I'm a coach.
Mhm.
I'm a public speaker, and I am an advocate for men's wellness. That's
Yeah, and I love, like, since you came to the Think Meetups group, I love that you're advocating for men. I know we'll probably get into that later, or you want to talk about this latest venture, which I think it's so important. I'm getting men out and walking. So can we start there and perhaps we go back into your journey?
for sure. Yeah. So the thing is, we've noticed a whole lot of lack of engagement with the medical system, with personal wellness among men. So we come from different parts of the world and we get into Canada.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing about it is that these things are almost like free here. And yet, over the period of time that we've been here, we've attended the barriers of people in our communities that stem from things that could have been avoided, okay? Things that could have been prevented if we had taken a little bit of care. And you know, us men, wellness is not the best things that we do for
Yep.
ourselves,
Yep.
right? So I felt that maybe if I talk to men, man to man, it will make a difference. And God gave me that burden, and it's been there. So I've created this work group. We work every Saturday, and the idea of the work is to have a me time for men, to have some self care, and to exercise for those who are not. But now in group, supported by a group of
Mhm.
men also like us. So we work every Saturday for 2 hours. And during that work, we also encourage people to get engaged with the medical system. So we're encouraging them to go check out do their annuals, check out the illnesses or the tests that they need to do to prevent some of the illnesses or to find out those diagnoses early enough. And it's been amazing. Last February, we had a men's wellness event, 1st of February,
Mhm.
where we brought in, and we do this quarterly, where we bring in experts to come to talk to us about the different aspects of wellness, not just physical wellness, but financial, occupational, physical, mental wellness, and all of that. And we had over 100 men in the room, and it was an amazing. It was an amazing. I was so humbled by that
Oh,
experience
wow.
because having men come to listen and to learn about how to take care of themselves
Mm-hmm.
is such a
Mm-hmm.
great thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we are trying to do. And so every Saturday, whether it is raining, whether it is sunning, whether it is snowing, we are walking.
Are you walking inside, right?
Yeah,
Where are
we
you
walk.
walking?
Yeah, during the snow time, during the cold period, we walk indoors at the West Edmonton Mall from 7:30 a.m. We
Mm-hmm.
gather and then we walk around the mall 4 times. It takes us an average of
Whoa.
half an hour to walk the mall, so it's very
Okay.
interesting. And then
Mm,
during the warmer seasons, we walk outside the in the trails. And let me tell you, Edmonton is beautiful,
yeah.
but there are certain parts of Edmonton that are so beautiful you can't see those parts if you keep driving.
Oh, wow. So, are you talking about like where the river
There are
valley and those
trails,
places?
there are creeks, there are the
Yeah.
forest. There are it's such a beautiful thing to be out there in nature. So
Yeah.
there are parts of Edmonton that honestly, if I stay here 100 years, and if not for this walk, I wouldn't have known.
What you remind me so much of if anybody's listening, you know who you remind me of, and this excitement about this place that you've chosen to be home. You remind me so much of Rihanna. I had Rihanna on a couple weeks ago, and she was just on fire for this place that she now calls home. And I hear it in your voice, even from the very first question, you were just ecstatic about Edmonton. So how big is the group now? I'm trying to get to actually my second half to come out to those walks because I think it's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the WhatsApp group, we have close to 200 right now. I think we're doing about 170 or so in the WhatsApp group. But it's a drop-in program, so people can drop in. And part
Yeah.
of what we have done is to say, even if you have just half an hour, like 30 minutes a day, come in and join us. You may not have to do the full 2 hours, but that's fine.
Hmm.
I would prefer you walk for 30 minutes than that you didn't walk alone. And guess
Yeah.
what? People are taking that advantage. They go drop off their kids where for their sports, and they come in and join us, and then they go pick up the kids. So on average now we're doing like 30 men. Some days we're more than that. Some days
Hmm.
it's average. But the most important thing is the conversations that we have during this work. And it's not just health conversations. We are creating a safe space where people can open up and say, this is what I'm struggling with.
Hmm.
And now they know they're not being judged. They're not being criticized. They are just there with their brothers, hand to hand, and saying, I got you. And it's something that is very different because obviously men don't open up.
Yeah.
Men think that we can figure out life ourselves. Women are more relational than men. And
Hmm.
so
So
many of
sorry, I need to ask, how do you get them to open up, Brother Chidi? How? I mean,
Oh, I lead with vulnerability. I'll tell them this is what I'm going through. This is what has happened. This is what I've gone through. For example, when I went to do my colonoscopy and endoscopy, I came up and I said to them, "Hey guys, this is what has happened." And then as a result of the colonoscopy coming out, I realized I had H. pylori, for example, and I was on medication for it. I was struggling during the walks, and
Mhm.
that was when we were actually outside. And I said to them, "I am not walking as much as I could today because I am on these antibiotics." And I told them exactly what has happened. And I'm hoping that by showing vulnerability that way, by showing an openness, people can come to realize that, listen, we come from a place of silence, a culture of silence, right? Where we struggle
Yeah.
in and we don't let people know what we're going through. But I believe that if you raise your hand and say, I am struggling, I am drowning, help will
Mhm.
come to you. And guess what? The help it's so free. We live in a place where the medical system is free.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is nudge you, brother. Okay. If you need transportation, I get to the point of if you need transportation to take you to the hospital, if you want somebody to hold your hand while the nurses are poking you for blood, I'll be there. The idea is to know that you can't do
Mhm.
this alone,
Mhm.
right? You can't do
Yeah.
this alone. And so I encourage our men to come out, and
Mhm.
then we form this community, this bonding. And from there, who knows what can happen? We'll support you in
Mhm.
everything that we do.
Okay.
Listen,
I
one
think
of
so.
the sorry,
Okay.
let me just make this my
Yeah.
point.
Go ahead.
One of the biggest things that we did, or the things that give me the best satisfaction, was a brother coming up to me and says, "I want to buy a house." And I said,
Oh.
by the time we started discussing the details of that house, I told him, "You are going into a bondage. The contract
Mm.
was horrible. right? The terms of the contract was horrible. And so he said to me, "Oh, but I have paid some commitment to the contract." And I said to
Mhm.
him, "Will you rather carry a 600,000 debt that you will not come out, or would you
Mm.
rather lose $1,000?"
And
And
so,
then
what was significant about that conversation for you? Why was it significant?
it was significant because this brother will have gone to carry a house, a
Mhm.
massive house that he could ill afford to live in.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then he will be struggling all the while with the mortgage payments. He will probably be house poor. Everything he was earning will have gone into the mortgage payment. And
Mhm.
it's not like he ought to know, because a lot of we had different levels of knowledge and financial literacy, right? So the point I'm making is not just wellness. So
Yeah.
when men gather together, we talk. We talk about relationship, we talk about finances, we talk about jobs. We also help other people who come in to settle in the society.
Wow, no, that's amazing. And look at the comments there. Guess who's on, Chidi? Lillian's on. Hi, Lillian. How you doing? Hi, Leonie. Let's just say shout out a couple people here. I thought it was opportune to put your website up as well. Can people find information about the walks on your website, or
That's
is that
true.
it's there as well? Okay, so you guys, if you are interested, go to chittispeaks.com, and it's an amazing website. Congratulations on how it looks, by the way. I love how that website is. It looks like love put this thing together. A lot of carefulness went into, just crafting it and all of that. So that's lovely. So if you are interested, and if you are a wife or a partner, okay, that's the other part of it. Remember, we were talking about that, because I was saying, like, sometimes men will not on their own do the thing that they need to do, and that's, I guess, that's why we are the help, right? We are those people that the help meet for them, to be able to point to those resources. Hey, men are meeting here, you should be here. So wives, if you're listening, partners, if you're listening, and you want your own husbands or partners to jump on this, I think it's a really good opportunity. What I love, okay, let's get into a couple different things right now. There's something about being able to sustain what you do and showing up over and over and over again. Maybe because I'm the same way, I recognize it in you. And so my question to you is, where's this drive coming from? Like, there's a verve, there's a passion for life and for doing the things that you do. That is not in the questions that I sent you, right? But that's fine. Tell us about, where is this passion coming from that you have been, even in the group, if I may, in the Think Meetup group, you consistently keep on posting about this, and you can see that it is something that's not just or fly by night, but it's something you deeply believe in.
Okay, I'll take you back to that moment. And it's in Edmonton here. And it was, I think, around January. So it was slightly cold.
Yeah.
Well, it was a cold day. It was all white. And I was the last person as people left the ceremony. I was the last person there. And as I looked into that hole, I just realized how final this is. The last 3 cars left, and I was there, and I was just watching, because we just buried somebody, John, who is in our community. We just
Okay.
put him in the grave. And John had just passed from prostate cancer, and he was 51. The thing was that 3 years earlier, John had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and he was given 6 months to live, and he beat it by 3 years. But 10 years back, if you go back 10 years, John had come into Edmonton with his family, full of hope, just like all of us. And he was a great dad, basketball dad. He was all over the place. And then we got to this point where we just buried him. And that was the end. The question then is, what happens to the dreams that John brought in here? What happens to those kids? What happened to the family? What happens to all the great work he was doing in the community? And this is a story that over and over and over we hear. Last year we are in Calgary to bury somebody. And now it sounds so morbid, but that is what it is, right? To bury
Mhm.
somebody. This guy was 46 years old. He just came to Canada in January of 2024. By March, he was diagnosed of colorectal cancer. By October, he was dead. What runs through all of this is that there are men there are men in the immigrant community, and their life have been cut short. So the question I ask myself is there a way, is there something that could have happened that we could have prevented these illnesses? Is there something we could have done? Was it about preventive actions? Was it about getting involved with the medical system? Could we have detected this earlier? Because we keep running as if we are eternal.
Yeah.
We're thinking that we are immortal until it hits us like a brick. And by that time, listen, the person who is ill has only one request, only one hope, only one prayer, which is
And
to
that
live.
is to live, right? Is it? Yeah.
Right?
How much of this do you think is due to the immigrant experience or to just lifestyle? Because the reason I asked this question, Chidi, is because a couple weeks ago we had somebody called Dr. Shelley Morgan on, and she's studying aging. From her research, she discovered that even though immigrants come in a lot healthier than the average Canadian population, in a couple years' time, because they haven't adjusted to life here, they are not as healthy as they used to be, and they're actually sub what the norm is. So, how much of this is due to this immigrant experience, and how much do you think is just lifestyle? Like people just came with who they were anyway?
I think it's 50-50, and I'll tell you why. The big, not much studies have been done on the impact of the relocation and immigration process on us, on the immigrants. Sometimes people think it's a very easy thing to do. It is not. Sometimes people think that it's a walk in the park. You know the pictures we post on GPs and on social
Yeah, the snow.
media as if everything is beautiful. It is not. It's a lot of hard work. So look at it from this point of view. You see this guy who is because if we think about it a little bit, from everywhere you are in the world, if you relocate into Canada, for example, there are about 3 qualifications that you're most likely going to have. Number one is probably you will have money. The relocation experience is very expensive. Okay, so you
Right.
have
Mm-hmm.
have
Some kind.
money.
Yeah.
Number two, you will have had experience. Canada will, and most of the time, people are coming in when they're even senior people from where they are, right? They have achieved so much in their
Yep.
careers and all of that, and they are now moving because of the children to give them a global platform, a better opportunities. And of course, you come into this country, the first thing that is discounted, especially for people from our place, is that experience, that whole skill you bring in. During the Black History Month, I was
Yeah.
the MC at one event, and I said to them, the reason we have to talk about Black History Month is this: it doesn't matter how great you are, how amazing you are. It doesn't matter your experiences. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, your education. Once you get into North America, or Europe, the first thing that they see is your color.
Yeah. And it's discounted. Yeah. And your
Every
experience
other
is
thing,
discounted.
every
Yeah.
other thing is counted. So
Yeah.
here we are. You then have to go back, and people will tell you that you should have a foot in the door. A foot in the door meaning take whatever it is that you can take
Start
to start
somewhere.
paying your bills.
Mm-hmm.
Great advice. The only challenge is that you are going back sometime 10 years, 15 years back. You are doing things here that ordinarily you would never imagine doing
Oh,
where you're.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
And many times this involves you losing economic power as a man.
Yeah.
And we've been brought up in cultures where the whole essence of you as a man is the ability to provide. Now, if you put a man in a situation where he can't provide the way he has been doing before,
Mm-hmm.
it tears down everything about him.
Right.
We can preach it to heaven to say, oh, you shouldn't be tied to your identity. You shouldn't be who you are or your profession or whatever. But this is what I have lived for close to 20, 30 years of my life.
Right.
Sometimes In fact, since I went to school, take a doctor, for example. If somebody is a medical doctor, from the minute you left high school till the minute you got here, everything you have known is about being a medical doctor. You've gone to school for it, you've done everything, and you've been an expert. And you get in here and you end up being a taxi driver. I don't have anything against being a taxi driver. The point I'm making is that this is stressful,
Right.
right? And we don't think about it from that point of view. That's number one. Number two is, and stemming from there is, once this happens, the man is psychologically down.
Right.
So what then happens is the little illnesses that goes by that you could afford because you're mentally, your emotions, your nervous system, and everything is already suffering. It's not firing as it should be.
Yeah.
You go down with that with those things that come on. And when you also think about the lifestyle, think about it this way: where we come from, there are opportunities for you to work, to do the physical working, right? But here, many of the jobs you have in Canada are 8 to 5, right?
Right.
So you are sitting down for 8 hours. And if you go check, you can Google it on YouTube if you like. Now, there's a phenomenon, a medical phenomenon now called sitting disease.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because we are meant to sit, because we are meant to walk. That's how we are created. We are meant to walk. Certain parts of our bodies are now being adjusted to that phenomenon. So here we are. You begin to see that, for example, blood pressures are better when we stand and when we sit. The metabolism in our body is better when we stand and when we sit, and all of those things. These are some of the challenges that we are seeing. So that's why we're also saying to men, you know what? It doesn't matter what you are doing. It doesn't matter what work you are doing. Create our time. 2 hours every week to try and reverse the impact of this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I hear men say, oh, I worked so hard. Oh, I have small kids. I do. There's so much to do in my family. I don't have time to do this. And I remind them that when you are coming in to Canada, inside the aircraft, before the plane takes off, the air hostesses will remind you, in the event of a sudden loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks withdraw from up. Put your own first. The reason is counterintuitive. You know, it could be that why won't you take care of those you have already committed to serving?
Yes, exactly.
But you are of no good to your family if you are ill. You're of no good to the society if you are ill. You're of no good to this community if you are ill. So if you can do what it takes to be healthy, then the other things, there's a high possibility that you.
I love the emphasis that you're putting on this matter. How has it been received by the men in the community? What has been the reaction and response to this urgency? Chidi, can you hear me? Hello? I hope I didn't lose you.
Men and wellness. Selling what
okay.
you do.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I can see you.
And we are seeing quite a number of people becoming a little bit more conscious about this. So the work that we've been doing, we've been keeping record, and you can see some people consistently that are showing up consistently during the dry season. Dry season.
I know.
During
I
the
get
warmer
it.
season, we also do step challenges. So,
winter season. I get it. Being from the Caribbean.
So during the warmer season, we also encourage people to walk. To do, we call it the step challenges, where we encourage participants in our group to walk 10,000 steps every day for the month. So we have a dashboard. And so when you walk, you post it in, we put it on the dashboard. What that does is, during summer, generally leave their cars and practically walk. I went to have a haircut one day and I saw a guy, and he says to me, he participates in our event. And when he was going, I saw him walk. I said, what happened to your car? He said, how will I get my steps if I drove here? How will I get my steps if I drove here?
Oh, wow.
So there's a goal. I've seen people who show up and all of a sudden you see them at the West Edmonton Mall on their own, weekly, on a daily basis, walking, and they post their numbers in the group. So it's exciting to see that this thing is catching on in our. It is lower than I
Mm-hmm.
thought I would have imagined, I would have loved. But knowing where we're
Mm-hmm.
coming from, when we could show up and it's only me and one other person, and we're now having like 30 men working together, I think it's gonna go on. And
Oh
and
yeah.
it's I don't have any illusion that it's going to be one day, but consistently, like you mentioned, we keep adding one person, we keep speaking to one person at what is going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. No, and I mean if the how it's growing is any indication of what's going to happen, that consistency I think and the growing numbers tells us where it's headed. It's headed in the right direction. So let's get into more about you because this is just like the tip of the iceberg. I was looking on your website. By the way, let me just say to our Instagram people, the feed is not looking very nice on Instagram. So you can jump over to LinkedIn or YouTube at Lisa M. Dublin or Basement Chronicles on YouTube, and you can follow and see the whole screen right there. I kind of have to configure it. I'll figure it out at some point. Like I keep on saying that I probably need to start. But if you are on Instagram, you get a better view on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook. So you can jump over there. My Instagram people, hi to you. Brother Chidi, let's go back to some of those significant incidents in your life. Where do you want to begin? Can you? I think we're sticking a little
I
bit.
don't know. Get to
Okay.
Canada.
I think
But,
let me just
but,
uh-huh.
but
Go ahead. Okay, I think we're having a bit of technical difficulties. Can you hear me okay? And so on. It seems to be sticking a little bit. Um
I
yeah,
can
okay, let's go. So
hear
I'll
you
keep
right.
quiet. Okay, great. So let's go back to the kidnap experience. Like I like to just go where I know everybody's mind will go anyway. So can you talk about that a little bit? You're a kidnapped survivor. That's what it says on your website. My God.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I will imagine it's the defining moment so far in my life. Um, I was on my way to go pick my kids from school. It's supposed to be a 10-minute journey. A car passes on the left side of me and stops right in front of me. And before I could know what was going on, four men jumped out of the car with. Before I could make a sense of it, I felt the cold, deadly steel of a gun to my head, and I was dragged out from the car to the ground. Robbery, and I got a kick to my head and to my stomach, and then I'm dragged out from the car again. From the ground, I'm pushed into the trunk of the car, and they sped off. After driving for what seemed like hours, we got into an uncompleted building. I'm pushed onto the debris of sharps, spikes, and stones, and everything I had on me was removed, and my a blindfold to my eyes, and I was chained hand and leg, and it's
Hmm. So you were blind. I think we missed that
body to
little
go
part. So
through.
you were blindfolded. Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, I
All
was
right. How long were you
blindfolded,
kidnapped?
and I was chained hand and leg, and then the call came to my wife, and that if they don't uh, she doesn't pay up, they will. And I was in captivity for like a week
Mm-hmm.
while my family and friends were running around trying to raise the money.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, payment was made. I was released. But the bigger challenge started actually after I was released from captivity.
Oh, okay.
Followed me home in the sense that I felt drained of life, totally lost, felt
Mm-hmm.
with zero ambition, that it was like everything had ended. Like, you when people go through trauma, that is why it's important to recognize this. When people go through trauma, the impact of trauma ends.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let me say that
Right.
again. The impact
In a
of
sense,
when that
yes.
experience ends.
In a
So,
sense, does it
example,
begin after that?
it continues, right? It continues, but now it's different. So, for example, I couldn't feel myself
Mm-hmm.
again, zeal again. Everywhere, everything I saw around me was darkness. Everything was like drained. Even though I was still functioning like a person, I was still taking my kids off to school and all of that. I come back to the house and close
Mm-hmm.
the curtains. There was no. I wasn't engaged again with people, with the community. I'll tell you something. I dwelled in a dark place, a place where, okay, at some point I
Okay.
thought it's best if I end this all. But the luck I had, God, because He connected me. I reached out to one of my mentors and I said, I'm really, really struggling. I'm really struggling. And the conversation we had was, yes, this had happened to you. Yes, you have gone through this, and I'm sorry that you have gone through it. But hey, look at the bright side. You have your life, you have your family, and you have the future. My keynote is learn to live forward. And those
Mm-hmm.
changed my life, not immediately, but after I had that conversation, I realized that I have been enabling that which nearly destroyed me. And so I had to go
Okay.
back to
How long
rebuild my
after did
life.
you reach out? Yeah. How long after the
Close to
kidnapping?
months after,
S- This is how long after?
close
Sorry. Months after. Months. Okay. All right.
months,
Yeah.
3 months,
So
yeah,
something
three
you
to 4
said,
months after.
something you said I wanted to explore. Okay, a little bit. I wanted to explore what you said about when you reached out to the mentor and later his words made sense. In when you were getting that kind of coaching, as in this happened, but you have to move forward, what was your initial reaction to that kind of advice?
I left him, and my thoughts were, you do not know what I'm going through. You do not know what I have gone through. Because nobody can understand it, right? Nobody can understand the humiliation. Nobody can understand the hurting. Nobody can understand the haunting that I felt inside my soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I felt, you don't get it. You don't understand what I'm going through. And so it was after some months after that I realized, I came to that realization that this guy is right. Life has to continue, and I need to build a different life from this and to move forward.
So did you have help to do that, or you did it primarily on your own self sense of I need to get better, I need to have this growth mindset?
You know us and where we come from in terms of psychiatry, in terms of counseling, and in terms of those are practically non-existent. So I had to do it the hard way. I had to do it myself. Um,
Mhm.
so for most part, it's me
Yeah.
finding the inner resources to the things that conversations you have with everybody, right? Everybody sees you as you are okay, you are doing well. The internal struggles, the
Mhm.
challenges that you face, those are not the things that you go telling everybody how you are feeling, because we are not,
Yeah.
we don't have those and those kind of avenues.
Well, I hope it's changing with conversations like this and a lot more resources, even within the Black community. I don't know. I don't know if I ever told you, but back when I was in my 20s, I suffered from clinical depression. And that's not really something that back in the day you spoke about. It was like, go sleep and wake up. And this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Like, that's what you should do. And I remember resenting my mom for saying that to me in the first. That's why I asked you that question, because it's almost like you feel at the time when you are sharing the story that you want somebody to, I guess, empathize. You want somebody to actually stay there in the weeds with you. And here's this person saying, in a sense, like, move forward, that you're not supposed to stay here. And that is difficult to understand. I remember for a long time being very resentful. Like, I am depressed and I had an eating disorder. It's not normal, but this is what I'm going through. So there's a sense in which I guess we have to honor and empathize, even as, especially as coaches, like, you want to point the way forward. You want to say, hey, you don't have to stay there. So that's a fine line. I'm wondering whether that experience now helps you when you coach men, coach people in your current, dispensation. Does it help?
Yeah, for sure. I'll go back. The Bible says when Jesus was talking to Peter, he says Satan had asked for permission to shake you, but when you are confirmed, confirm your brethren. When you are coaching from your having gone through that specific experience, is way different from when you are talking about it theoretically. Now, when I
Mhm.
coach people, I'm able to sympathize. I'm able to empathize with them. I'm able to understand where they're coming from. So we can together go through that journey of, I know what it means to dwell in this valley, but this is
Do
not
I?
where you are meant for. You are meant to go to the mountaintop. The longer we dwell on this valley, inside this valley, the longer it will take for us to climb up. So it's a steady, consistent work
Hmm.
to move from there. But you are right. Sometimes we run the risk of not appreciating what the person is going through or had gone through. Sometimes we want to rush the recovery. And in rushing the recovery, we minimize the person's experience. So it's a fine line in terms of saying, let's take everything about this experience and let's embark on the journey to recovery where the world is waiting for us.
Wow, that's amazing, and it's deepened by your experience. That's what I love. So I'm sure all the audience members are all realizing why I had to bring you on, because you are just so interesting and full of life and full of things that we want to know about. Let's go to something else. So you wrote a book. Oh my goodness. Tell us about the book that you wrote. You came to Edmonton, you came to Canada as an
I
immigrant,
did.
and you were not willing to just be another immigrant, right? You up and wrote a book. Tell us about that.
So we have been, my family and I, we've been widely traveled. I read in England, so we go on holidays, etc., all of that. But there's a sense that vacation and relocation are not the same. They're not to see if we could find some resources that can help us in the settlement process. There
Mhm.
was none. We went to some of the settlement agencies that we were referred to. There was this sense that people had different focus. So some were more focused on housing, some were more focused on jobs. They're not thinking about other things in the community. So there was not that sense of a comprehensive resource that could guide us. And so we had to go through some of those things and learn the hard way. Now, one of the things that we have done in our community since we come in is our home
Mhm.
being like a landing pad for so many people who are coming from, had like close to 12 or so couples or families that have landed in us. So when the people land in our home, we also try to guide them to get into the community and all of that, and how to find job, how to find the resources. So after a while, I
Mhm.
started getting this sense, oh, you are so good at this, your advice is valuable. Why don't you put inside the book and help other people? And so
Mhm.
that's how the book came up. So I would say that the book came up from our own experience, the experience of those who
Mhm.
are landed in our house, and what we learned in the ecosystem supporting those that support people who are relocating to Canada. So all of those we put inside the book, and it became a bestseller in the US and in Canada.
Oh,
And
wow.
we've had quite some reviews about it, including
Mhm.
emails from people that I would never meet, which faces I would never know, saying how it has helped them.
Okay.
I understand it's a quick read.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's available on your website, right? I just put up the website right there. It's available on your website, is it?
it's available on my website. It's also available on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, that's awesome. So what's next for you? Oh my goodness, you're so full of everything to do. Like, what's next for you? What's next on the horizon?
Um, I am being led by curiosity. So there's this sense of asking myself, what is next? You never know, right? One of the things that I find very interesting is public speaking. And I joined Toastmasters so I can be a better public speaker. And I contested in the international speech contest last year. I won at the club. I won at the um,
You have like two certifications.
division. I won at
Yeah.
the area. I lost at
Oh no. Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
So maybe we'll go again. So maybe we'll go again
Yes, you
because
go again.
I am yeah. So that's part of what we are looking at. But more importantly, is that
Okay.
I think that we have a lot we can contribute to in this home. Canada is now home. It's not vacation.
Hmm. And that's
And
different.
so I'm very interested in knowing how we can how we can make life better for those who are coming behind us, for the children that we brought in here. How we can hold and make sure that we build the community that we need before we need it.
Yeah,
And
for
that's
sure.
what's driving
Let
my
me ask you.
commitment.
Okay, that's what's driving your curiosity right now. I wish the reception was better so we could have gone on longer. So we have to do a part two, Chidi. We have to, absolutely have to come back and kind of work out the something's happening with the it's not as clear as it should be. But here's what I wanted to ask you, and this one was not on what I had said we would speak about, but nevertheless, I believe you will have insight into it. I feel like Canada is in some kind of existential moment. And I think it's an inflection point, not just for Canadian born Canadians, but also for naturalized Canadians like us, like you and me. And what do you think we can add to the conversation coming from where we come from, coming to a country that is now disrespected by being called, being asked to be the 51st state of the United States? Is there anything that might be, um, um, what's it, individually immigrant to add to this conversation that the entire country of Canada can benefit from? What, yeah, what do you think of that?
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. One of the things that I still find very strange is the fact that inside Canada, the provinces are not trading. There are no, the level of interprovincial trades are very low. So what Trump has done has awakened to us, or in us, the idea that we should be looking more inwards to develop ourselves. I don't understand how we are so coupled to the United States, how we are so joined to the hip to the United States that almost everything we're doing, we are more like doing for the American market. This is a wake-up call. Okay, this is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
So inside that wake-up call, there are opportunities that I'm seeing that a lot of people have not taken time to look at. And I'll give you an example. Do you
Hmm.
know that we import bottled water from the United States?
Wow. No, I did not know that. Wow. Like, why?
Bottled water.
Hmm.
that we import from the United States, you're asking yourself, are there opportunities for us to start producing those things here in Canada? Are there opportunities for us to look at those things and take them off and ride with it, this wave of nationalism, buy local, this wave of we to buy Canadian? Are there things that we can start doing that when we start it, then will have stabilized in such a way that we could reduce that list, the dependency from against the United States? And that, here
The
for me
United
is the
States. Yeah.
opportunity. Let's let's look at that list again of the things that we are getting in from the US and ask ourselves, can we do these things here? And for us as immigrants, listen, the earlier we move into manufacturing, supporting the um the what I'm trying to the logistics, the supply chain
Yeah.
into
Right.
those things, the more we will feel right? The more empowered. So let's look at that list and say, what is it inside this list that I could go and replicate? Now you will be getting grants from the government. You'll be getting this funding at in a single digit interest rate. You'll be getting all kinds of support
Yes.
that exist in the community for immigrant business people. This is the time. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, we may be better off than Trump doing what he's doing because we have the gaps.
Yeah, I quite agree. And, added to what you said about just the practical things, there will also be ideological support for anything that is wholly Canadian right now. And I'm looking at this like, wait a minute, this
Canadian,
is a
exactly.
great opportunity to be an immigrant and to do things that tie you to the society that you've chosen to be part of, and to tie that society to you, to have that kind of bonding at a level that would not happen if we didn't have the threat of our own nationalism, is that identity. And there's something too about uh, I don't like bullies. I don't know anybody who comes as an immigrant who doesn't have fight, who doesn't have a sense of, oh, I didn't come all the way here just for me to become something that I don't want to be. And I believe that fight, that ability, that fire, it can be replicated over and over in the things that we do right now. That it's a moment where we can perhaps get more knit and more tightly close as a society than ever before because of that threat from the outside. So it's a great time to be an immigrant, perhaps, is what I'm saying. A great time to be Canadian. Yeah. So did you notice how
Absolutely.
excited you were about
Absolutely.
this
Listen,
conversation, this last part of the conversation?
tell
Yes,
me.
you. Yes, it seems like you were very excited about that part of the conversation, about the ideas of how we can weather this storm, and I mean, I hope these ideas go somewhere, Chidi, because they seem very valuable.
The thing is, many of us chose Canada, the United States. We could have gone somewhere else. We chose Canada for it, okay? And the Canadian identity that we've
Yeah.
taken on, again, I say, this is home. This is no longer, we're not on vacation. This is home. And when you are attacking Canada, you're not just attacking Trudeau, you're attacking everybody that had decided to make this country a home.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And so when somebody is saying that he wants to make Canada 50, said, no, we want to be Canadian, we will remain Canadian. For me, what is important is what are the opportunities in this crisis?
Yes, I like that.
How can we exploit those opportunities? Looking at these opportunities and looking at what what is going to unfold and building from there. For example, one other example I
Yeah.
can give you is farming. Not many of us have
Mm-hmm.
looked into the opportunities that exist in so many subsidies. There are
Right.
so many grants. There's so many support that is happening in the farming space,
Mhm.
and we haven't exploited it. We haven't looked
So
at
it's a
it that
time to
much.
do that.
So
Mhm.
maybe what we're looking at coming out from this as immigrants will be there are opportunities now The government is willing to do whatever it takes to reduce the dependency on the United States. Let's go in there. Need.
Yeah. And also, I think it's a great opportunity to look at what you are already doing and to see whether these things can be tied to what the society right now needs. Like even being in the public speaking space, one of the things I'm about to do, like any day now, is to register a nonprofit for speaking and to go around. It's a time for the ideological sense of what it means to be Canadian. I don't even know, even after 14 years here. Like, what exactly does it mean? And can we use this opportunity, even as immigrants, to discover our Canadianness and perhaps to kind of identify, define it, because it might be different. I've interviewed on this on this live stream. I've interviewed Canadian born Canadians and immigrants like us. And those experiences are different. And so it's a great opportunity, even for an artist, somebody like me in the creative field, to bring together what you already know to add to the conversation and make the society that you've chosen better. I think, like, as well as what do we need, is what are you already providing that you can link to something that makes this. I think it's, as they say, I was asking this friend of mine, what does elbows up mean? I had to go Google it because I was like, what's this elbows up thing? What exactly does it mean? And she's an elderly lady, did not know. She's Canadian, did not know what it meant. And I had to go like find out and then text and say, hey, this is what I discovered about it. But it really is true. It's an elbows up moment for anybody who calls himself Canadian. Absolutely. So, Chidi, last question. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the time has passed so much. I've got a question I usually ask people at the end of the interview. And you did say that you are curious, and so that means basically the world is the limit. But I'd like to know, in the vein of being curious, what do you want to know that you don't know right now? Answer it however you want. Yeah.
Interesting, very good question. I'll tell you,
Okay, thank you.
one of
Mhm,
the things that I am discovering and I'm learning as I move forward
mhm,
is the ability to put words together in terms of public
mhm,
speaking. I just
mm,
imagine what it is that made them champions of public speaking. So I'm curious about that. I'm curious about how can I enhance my ability to communicate? How can I enhance my ability to present? How can I enhance my
mhm,
ability to lead in the changing world? Because now the stakes could be higher, as we are seeing.
mhm.
Sometimes it might be a matter of life and death. How am I able to convey the urgency of what my worldview, the things I am seeing? For example, we've talked about men's wellness, for example. So those are the things that
Yeah.
I'm curious about. I keep researching to see how can I make this a lot easier? How can I make this a lot acceptable? How can I make this a lot friendlier for people to leave their
Mhm,
beds and come across, come around and hang out with us and learn? So it's that same curiosity that I keep pushing forward because you never know. Curiosity
mhm,
had led me this far.
mhm. Yeah.
I'm not letting go of it.
Oh wow, what a lovely spirit. Thank you for that. I'm sure you'll get the answer. I'm so certain you'll get these answers just because of the drive and all you've accomplished. Having come here, you didn't just sit on your haunches. You're like, no, I'm getting to work. Elbows up. It was always elbows up with you. So thank you so much. I wish we had better reception. We'd have gone up until like the hour and so on. But I hope everybody enjoyed this interview, got inspired like I was. Keep on shining. Like, we need these kinds of examples, I think, just in basic Canada, not just in the immigrant society. We do. So thank you, Chidi, for being here on Basement Chronicles, the Sunday interview. Thanks so much. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye, everybody.